So I've been making these videos for quite a while now. It actually kind of shocked me when I reflected back on just how long it's been. I want to share with you in this video why I do it and what I kind of hope you get from it. So stay with me and we'll explore this together. So why do I make these videos? Well, the answer is actually pretty quick and easy. The answer is I'm hoping to inspire you. Now, what am I hoping to inspire in you? I'm hoping to inspire you to spend a little bit more time thinking about and paying attention to your inner world. Now, that's because most of us spend all of our time thinking and looking at the outer world. Maybe it's because our eyes face out, I don't know. But the reason that I want to inspire you to look to your inner world is because we don't do it nearly enough. Now, the simple reason to point out why that's so important is that our inner world completely determines our experience of the outer world. The way I always talk about this is if you're angry, it's an angry world. If you're depressed, it's a depressing world. If you're happy, it's a happy world, right? Now, I'm not trying to talk about manipulating your inner states. I'm just talking about paying attention to where does it all happen. I mean, where does the show really go on? It goes on in your inner world, actually. So I want to share with you also why this is so important to me. And that's because I have found in my own personal life that there is a way to shift this stuff. So this is what I'm always trying to share with you. There was a time in my life that everything was coming together. Everything seemed to be just the way it was supposed to be, the American dream, you might say. And even though everything in the outer world was right, my inner world was still a mess. And it caused a lot of turmoil in my outer world. And when I realized that, which happened on a Father's Day in 2007, well, I woke up with a hangover, looking back at my behavior from the day before, having a hard time even looking at myself because of the shame I felt from it. Now, that all came from me not paying enough attention to my inner world. I thought if I figured out the whole outer world, if I got the house and the 3 kids, which I have, and the beautiful, wonderful wife, which I had, that it was going to make it all right. But I found it didn't. So once I started shifting my focus from that, now, by the way, it didn't mean I quit my job and moved to a monastery, right? But I started putting a little more importance on my inner world. When I started doing that, my whole life began to shift. Now, where I find myself now is so wonderful because my life is very stable. Now, I don't even mean my outer world because I don't pay as much attention to that. It's not that I don't pay any attention. I'm not as concerned with that because I know that if I'm okay in my inner world, come what may, I can deal with it. And that happens whether it's with my children, my wife, a stranger. I can walk about my days knowing that I have the skills, because I spent time building them, by the way, to deal with whatever happens and however it happens. That doesn't mean that I'm always happy. It doesn't mean that I'm always walking around in some blissful state in my mind. But it does mean, though, I know that I can take anything that happens in my life and turn it into wisdom. By learning from it, by accepting it, by opening to it, I become wiser day by day. And it's a beautiful feeling. This is part of what I'm always trying to share with you. So how did I go about doing that? Well, the first thing was I had to notice. I had to do some self-reflection. I had to wake up that morning and actually smell the coffee. I had to face the facts. I was kind of a mess. I was behaving in ways that I was very ashamed of. Now, instead of letting that completely defeat me, because it can do that, right, and just cause me to drink more or behave even worse, I actually decided that I was not going to do that anymore. Now, that didn't happen right away. It actually took quite a while, but it was from my consistent efforts and my consistent focusing on my inner world that I found my way through the wilderness, you might say. So the first thing I did was I self-reflected and I looked honestly. And I didn't beat myself up about it. I probably did a bit. But I've learned over the time that doesn't help much, right? So I looked at myself honestly and then I did something. What I started doing was affirmations. I started writing in a journal. I started reading lots of self-development books and listening to lots of audio programs. I mean, I just really started to immerse myself in it. Now, you don't have to do so much. First of all, I was in a pretty low state. And second of all, it was a real passion of mine. It became a real passion of mine. You don't have to take it on quite like that, but to make it some part of your life, that's what I would recommend. Make sure it's there somewhere, that you're looking inside and you're working with your inner world in some way. I would suggest every day. It doesn't have to be, a half an hour meditation or something. It can literally be a few minutes of noticing. Here's a great example. Somebody makes you angry. When we do this inner work now, instead of just getting angry and going off, we notice the anger. We don't try to do anything with it. We don't try to stop the anger. We just notice it. We pay attention to how we got angry and why. And then we watch our behavior as it goes on, right? How does that help? It actually helps a tremendous amount, especially when we don't try to push and pull things around. We just watch. Because the next time comes around, somebody makes us angry, maybe the same person in the same way. We've watched ourselves in how we behaved and why. And it's much easier to make a different decision. We can say, last time I behaved this way, it didn't play out very well. I was really paying attention. It really wasn't very good. Now, it could take 4, 5, 6 times. It doesn't really matter. If you're paying attention and you pay attention at that level, this is what I mean when I say that when we see something clearly enough, the action to do something about it comes naturally. Can you see that there? When you see it clearly enough. Now, when you indulge in it, you can't see it clearly. When you try to manipulate it, like say, I'm not going to get angry, I'm too spiritual, right? You're trying to manipulate, you're not looking. Just look. Pay attention. That is a simple practice, and it's probably the most powerful one you could do, and you could do it all the time. So I encourage you to do that, because that was stuff I started doing. I started paying attention to the way I behaved and why. It started shifting the way I did things. So the other thing would be that I would just share with you right now would be consistency. Now, consistency is not measured in days. It's not even measured in months. I know that might be disappointing, but it's true though. It's measured in years. So it isn't about, are you doing what you said you were going to do days from now? Are you doing it? Are you doing it years from now? Are you still paying attention to your inner world and watching how you behave and thinking about, reflecting on deeply, not judging, reflecting deeply on these things, your inner world? It can be scary at first, and I do understand that. It was very scary for me. But the scary things should not stop us from looking. Because the scary part is because we don't normally pay attention. Once you pay attention enough, it gets less scary. And once you start to involve yourself in that inner world and pay attention and honor it, I would say, it starts to shift on its own. And it gets a lot less scary. And then all of a sudden you start to see the power in this. This is why I get so jazzed about it. This is why I've made it my life's goal now to share this stuff with you, because I know that this changes your life. That's what I'm trying to share with you in these videos. That however your life could be great, by the way. It can even be better. The more you pay attention to this, the better your life will be. If it's challenging, if you have a marriage that's challenging, or children that drive you nuts, or whatever, a boss that drives you crazy, paying attention to your inner world will shift the relationship to those things. Every single one of them, every single time. Now, not right away, but if you stay consistent with these things, they will change. This is what I want to share with you, because I know it in my heart of hearts, because I've lived through it, because I'm living it. I thank you for your time. It's precious.